Please rise in body or spirit to join in singing our call to worship. Where do we come from? This is hymn number 1003 in our teal hymnal. And as you can tell from Mike and Elena and Ed and myself and Brian, this is a round, and we will direct you in it.
We're going to do this a little differently than we did the round in the past. We're all going to sing all four pieces rather than a section singing a specific piece. So we're all going to sing all four pieces together one time through. Then Brian with section 1 will start. All of us here with section 2. Yeah, I know you've got a strong section over there that people are invited to join in. Then Alina with section 3 and Mike with section 4. We're going to do it 3 times as a round, 1 time together. So just buckle up.
Skipping the repeat. For those of you who read music, just go straight through.
Yes. We're not repeating. We're not just doing one section. So let's go straight through. So we're going to do it once together, and then we'll go immediately into that. Here we come from. What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going?
I love that we can make such beautiful music using nothing but our bodies together. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, for this hour we are here as one gathered congregation, and all are welcome. My name is Brian Watson, and in the spirit of our KUUF mission to be more inclusive, I offer you this self-description. Today is a rare sighting. I am wearing a tie. And a suit coat. And this tie is bright red with gold shimmers to it. I wear glasses, and I'm just about bald. What? Just about bald, yes. I love being part of this community. You are my friends. I love you. I know you love me too. And that love just goes around and around and around in this room, online, for people who are not here anymore. That's why I'm here, to be part of this with you. Our worship leader this morning is our own quarter-time minister, Reverend Victoria Poling. Reverend Victoria speaks in our pulpit once a month and holds office hours here at KUUF every Tuesday. If you have not yet had the chance to meet Reverend Victoria, please introduce yourself after the service. She'll be out in the foyer. We'd also like to welcome a very special additional minister today, which is Reverend Carol, who is often here in our pulpit. Reverend Carol and Reverend Victoria and I will be doing a panel discussion for our sermon today. Reverend Carol, welcome, and thank you for being here today. If you are visiting us here this morning, welcome. We're glad you're here. If you're here in person, we look forward to welcoming you after the service during our coffee hour. If you are here online, please introduce yourself in the chat. It's nice that you're here. Either way, online or in person, we are glad that you joined us today. I invite you to follow along in our order of service. For those of you attending virtually, all the links for this service, including the order of service, are on our website and in this morning's worship service email. If you are here in the sanctuary this morning, please take a moment to silence all your electronic devices. The announcements are available on our website, kuuf.org, or in our weekly email newsletter, The Candle. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the Aboriginal territory of the Suquamish people. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers, the Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's Central Salish Sea, as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Suquamish live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. Now I'd like to welcome Jack Peterson to come forward to light our chalice. Jack sings bass in our choir and is a past member of our Board of Trustees, and he serves on several committees. Join me now in lighting our chalice. If you have your own chalice or candle at home, please light it as I read our chalice lighting words. Our reading today is from Rainer Maria Rilke's Book of Hours, verse 11, translated by our own Reverend Victoria. You, darkness, out of which I come, I love you more than the flame, which makes a border around the world by lighting up a circle outside of which not one being knows light. But the darkness holds everything close, shapes and flames, animals and myself, people and powers, just as they are. And it is possible. A great strength begins to stir itself beside me. I believe in nights.
I'm Reverend Victoria, and I'm wearing my red holiday stole, which is the color of joy and the color of love, and a teal cardigan and I forgot my glasses at home today, so please give me a little grace. Today is the third week of Advent, and we will be lighting our pink candle of joy. Advent is a season of night, of waiting, of expectation, and of longing. On this third Sunday of Advent, the pink candle represents joy. How is it, you might wonder, that we could celebrate joy when there's also so much suffering in the world? Isn't that contradictory? It's an exercise of faith to address the unknown, which can also be called the not yet known. Advent is a season of watchfulness. We listen and keep vigil for the promise of things to come. We speak and sing about the promise of the not yet manifest, as reflected in the words of these familiar hymns. Brian? Oh. Well, then I will sing two of the three, because I don't know the third one. O come, Emmanuel. And also we hear this promise in People Look East. These are the songs of the hopeful songs, songs of faith. These hymns encourage us to enter and consent to the practice of opening to possibility. Joy is one of the qualities that, if not yet present within us, will come to us in its own time. This light of joy, then, doesn't require that you experience joy now, today, in your immediate surroundings. Instead, it's a reminder to wait for it with faithfulness that overshadows pain and cynicism. May the lighting of this candle bring us patience, grant us faith, and draw us closer to joy.
Please join me in our spoken affirmation. The words will appear on the screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. Our next hymn is O Come, Emmanuel. Please rise in body or spirit to join in singing hymn number 225 in our gray hymnal, O Come, Emmanuel.
Comfort to all. shall come within us, love to dwell. Oh, come, you splendor very bright, as joy that never yields to mine. Oh, come and turn all hearts to peace, that greed and war at last shall cease. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within us, truth to dwell. Oh, come, you dayspring, come and cheer our spirits by your presence here, and calm in every broken soul, as vision that can see the whole. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within us, light to dwell. Oh, come, you wisdom from on high, from depths that hide within a sigh, to temper knowledge with our care, to render every act a prayer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within us, hope to dwell.
Good morning. This morning I am wearing black glasses, a black cardigan, and a plum-colored blouse. Before I start our story, I wanted to let everybody know that next Sunday there will not be any childcare or children's religious education because we are having our no rehearsal Christmas pageant for all ages. So you hear some chuckles for people who've been around a while. This is something that we revive every so often, and so I hope you can all attend. All ages are able to participate in this pageant, and you don't need to practice or anything. You just get a costume and get a part, and they tell you what to do. So hope to see you all here. Our theme this month is the gift of mystery, and today we are exploring the winter solstice. The beginning of winter is marked by the solstice, the shortest day of the year. Long ago, people grew afraid when each day had fewer hours of sunshine than the day before. Over time, they realized that one day each year, the sun started moving toward them again. In this story, we find out the many ways that people have celebrated the winter solstice. The story today is The Shortest Day by Wendy Pfeiffer. In late autumn, in the northern part of the world, squirrels hide nuts. Foxes grow thick fur coats, and flocks of birds fly to warmer places. The sun rises later each morning and sets earlier each evening. Each day it appears lower in the southern sky. As the sun gets lower and lower, the north gets less and less daylight. The air grows colder. Chickadees fluff their feathers to keep warm, woodchucks hibernate in their burrows, and white-tailed deer nuzzle through the snow to find the last blades of grass. On short winter days, children bundle in warm clothes and walk through a frosty white world, dragging long shadows behind them. On long winter nights, families eat dinner while it's dark outside. Children wonder when the days will get long again so they can play outside after dinner like they did in summer. In the north, on or around December 21st, the sun reaches its lowest point on the horizon, making that day the shortest day of the year. Like all days, December 21st has 24 hours, but it's called the shortest day because it has the fewest hours of daylight. The shortest day, called the winter solstice, is the beginning of winter. And in some places, winter means cold, nose-nipping weather. The earth tilts as it moves around the sun. When the northern part of the earth tilts away from the sun, the north gets less heat and light than the southern part. Long ago, people didn't understand how the earth tilts and moves around the sun. They didn't understand why each day had less sunshine than the day before. Some believed that evil spirits made the sun go away. People feared that the sun wouldn't shine on them anymore, making their world cold and dreary dark. They needed the sun's warmth and light. So did their plants, which they needed for food. They held ceremonies that lasted for weeks to persuade their gods to bring the sun back. Over the years, people noticed that after short days, the days got gradually longer. Joyous people bathed in the sun's warmth and light. They celebrated their harvests. About 5,000 years ago, people who studied the sky noticed that day after day, the sun set in different places on the western horizon. They discovered that when the sun set farthest south, that was the shortest day. These early astronomers planned to mark the shortest day. Then, each year, people would know when the days would start getting longer again. On the day when the sun reached its southernmost point in the horizon, the astronomers carried out their plan. Workers stacked stones to frame the setting sun. They made a special opening like a keyhole or the eye of a needle. When the sun's setting rays beamed through that opening, people knew the shortest day was over. Days gradually got longer for the next 6 months. When the sun appeared farthest to the north, its rays shone through another keyhole. People knew it was the longest day of the year, the first day of summer. In China, over 3,000 years ago, astronomers measured shadows to determine the shortest day. The longest shadows appeared on the shortest day because the sun was at its lowest point in the sky. They knew that as the sun appeared higher in the sky, the shadows would get shorter and the days would get longer. Over 2,000 years ago, Romans celebrated the shortest day with festivals and merrymaking. They gave evergreen branches to friends as a sign of good luck. Evergreen wreaths decorated their doors. Since these plants stayed green when the others turned brown, they reminded the Romans of the coming spring. Mistletoe and holly hung in their homes because plants that survived the harsh winters were symbols of life. Many people believed these plants would bring strength to their families. About 1,000 years ago, Europeans celebrated the winter solstice. Druid priests of England and Ireland decorated oak trees with golden apples and candles to represent harvest and light. In Sweden, a festival of lights celebrated the return of longer days on St. Lucia's Day. Girls wore crowns of evergreens and candles to rekindle the sun's fire as they delivered warm buns to family and friends. Boys went from door to door singing to the neighbors for a few coins. Around the same time in history, the Incas of Peru marked the shortest day with a festival in honor of the sun. At dawn, when the sun first appeared, shouts of happiness rang out. Then the Incas used a shiny surface to reflect the sun's rays onto fluffy, dry cotton. The sun heated the cotton and made it burst into flame. They carried the fire to their temples and kept it burning on the altars all year because it came from one of their gods, the sun. Today, people still celebrate at the beginning of winter by decorating their houses, lighting the darkness, gathering together, and exchanging gifts. They no longer worry that the sun will disappear forever. People know that days get colder when their parts of the earth tilt away from the sun. They know that days get shorter when the sun appears lower in the sky. People celebrate the shortest day because longer days follow. Flocks of birds will return, seedling oak trees will sprout, and children can play outside after dinner. For more than 5,000 years, people have welcomed the winter solstice because it's a new beginning. Happy solstice. I would say we can sing out the children But I'm looking and I don't see any children. So we'll sing anyway. Please join Rise and Body Your Spirit as we sing joyously together.
We gather as a religious community to give each one of us a place where we can do the work of many. Together, our light is much brighter than a solitary flame. Now is the time in our service when we share in the sacred act of giving, an expression of gratitude transformed into generosity that breathes life into our mission. As part of our mission that inspires us to act on our beliefs, we share our weekly offering with a local nonprofit agency providing services within our larger community. Our charitable giving recipient for the month of December is Planned Parenthood, our local Bremerton chapter. In a moment, our ushers will move among us with baskets to collect the offering. Donations placed in the basket will go to Planned Parenthood. If you would like your offering to be used for KUUF, please use one of the envelopes provided to you with your order of service when you came into the sanctuary. For those of you joining online, you may go to our website, kuuf.org, select the Giving tab for PayPal and mailing information. And if this is your first time at KUUF, feel free to let the basket pass you by. Your presence is your gift. Let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our community, which is sacred to so many of us. Let us enjoy a gift of music from our music coordinator, Brian Kinney.
I love the gift of music. I feel like the tiny child in that hymn, Lule Lule, being soothed. When we gather together as a community, we make space to hold each other in times of joy and in times of sorrow. When we share our joys, they are amplified. And when we share our sorrows, they are lessened. We'll start with a couple of joys today. These are from Dominic E. Bucker. It's a beautiful winter morning, and Dominic's joy is for Kelsey, his partner, to climb Mount Townsend. And another joy for Dominic, after 2 years of paying for it, today marks 2 months of actually using my YMCA membership. As an underuser of my own gym membership, I appreciate that joy. This is a joy and a sorrow from Rosemary Dougal. The joy is for my dog, William, and 14 years of loving companionship. And my sorrow is that William is gone now. He was a very good dog. And one final joy is from Brian Watson, to have celebrated a historic milestone on the journey of fatherhood. Yesterday, I bought a reliable, safe, used car for my son. Let us light one last candle for all those joys and sorrows in our hearts that are yet too tender to share aloud. I offer a prayer today of beloved mystery from Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage. Spirit of life, eternal mystery, receive the meditations of our hearts this day. We come to this space with the challenges and sorrows of our lives ringing in our thoughts, all that we've left undone, our relationships that may be frayed, the pressures of life and work and home on our spirits, things and people and places that are breaking our hearts. There's so much outside of our control. Let us leave them out beyond these walls for a moment. Beloved mystery, hold us close and whisper into our hearts that another world is possible, one beyond our imagination, that we're building together one prayer at a time, one hopeful declaration at a time, one act of forgiveness and grace at a time, one extension of care and compassion at a time. We give over all of our actions to you, sweet mystery, for we know not the impacts of our faithful practices, nor do we invest ourselves in them. May we embrace today the wisdom that love is enough, care is enough, and patience and service are enough. The rest is mystery, and may that be enough. Amen, and blessed be. Please remain seated as we sing Spirit of Life and our gray hymnal number 123. The words will be on screen.
Away.
Our reading this morning is by Teresa Soto from their book, Spilling the Light. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that does not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath, the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like the North Star, and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream. And by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home.
Mystery of life all around me. Take me in your quiet embrace. May your essence gently surround me like the winter sun on my face. Mystery of life, I gaze into your deep, sounding for your secrets unseen. Majesty of life, fill my being. Let me feel what I cannot know. Guide me as you hold the beholder. Take me where my thoughts cannot go. Majesty of life, you sing in every cell. May your song resound in my soul. Miracle of life all around me. Help me see what cannot be shown. May your wonders always astound me. Resting here within the unknown. Some will name you God and cast you in a cell. May I be content in my mystery of
Majesty of
life,
Today we have a very special service. It's not quite a late night talk show. Because I'm not sitting at a desk. But we have our very special and beloved ministers here with us, Reverend Victoria and Reverend Carol, to discuss and talk about and share their thoughts on the mystery of relationship. In the reading shared by Reverend Victoria, we heard from Teresa Soto. And we know the way to the world of which we dream. And by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. Reverend Victoria, would you say more about the world of which we dream?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Brian. Can you hear me at this microphone? No. Let's see if we can adjust just a little bit. Make sure that, there we are. Okay, very good. Well, I'd like to say that as Unitarian Universalists, we have inherited many powerful stories about the world of which we dream. Since time immemorial, people have embraced the dark time of the year as a time for bringing these stories to life in song and in pageantry and ceremony. And as UUs, we bring these stories alive in our Sunday services. Some of us dream, for example, of a world where darkness and light are in a dance, like the rotation of the earth around the sun. And we participate in this dance with openness and wonder and curiosity. Here at KUUF, in just a few days, a dedicated group of lay leaders will be hosting the solstice, where we can experience the ancient practice of moving through a labyrinth in candlelight, where the shadows will dance with the light at the turning of the year. Some of us dream of a world where new life brings hope and inspiration to continue our work of compassion and justice. Next Sunday, we'll celebrate the pageantry and the Christmas story of the birth of a child who embodies this hope. We'll remember the story of a teacher, healer, resistance leader, Jesus of Nazareth, whose radical teaching to love God and neighbor and self still offers us guidance on how we relate to each other today. And some of us dream of a world where humans are meaning-making beings, storytellers about where we come from, which is why we tell a story in our Time for All Ages every Sunday morning. We tell stories about who we are, why we're here, where we come from, and since we are here, how do we relate to one another? Because in the world that we dream of as UUs, we are always and everywhere in relationship. And relationships are mysterious. It takes a lifetime to learn how to develop and how to hold on to and how to define relationships. And in intimate spaces like a religious community, it's important that we make plans for how we will relate to one another, because misunderstandings between people can escalate into conflicts and also cause folks to withdraw and hide their gifts and skills away from one another. So, a dream of our community is a world where we talk about the ways in which we understand each other. And we talk about our roles in the community, because it's through our roles that we function as a group. And it's through our personal commitments to those roles that we covenant with one another. So as UUs, we are holders of the dream of covenant, which returns us again and again to that mystery of relationship. Thank you for asking, Brian.
You're welcome. Reverend Victoria, you shared that to be human is to be a meaning-making being, to be storytellers about where we come from, who we are, and why we are here. And since we are here together, how do we relate to each other? Reverend Carol, would you respond to that question and tell us more about how we can learn to relate to each other as Unitarian Universalists.
Thank you, Brian. So I have been asked, as no doubt you have been asked, what exactly does it mean to be a Unitarian Universalist? What holds you together as a religious tradition if you don't have a statement of belief, like the Christian creed that begins, I believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost? Well, I explained to those asking that question of me that specific beliefs, and instead of specific beliefs, we're held together by our covenant, our declaration of interdependence that recognizes that relationship is the bedrock of our faith, not a uniform statement of belief. Covenant articulates, puts into words our commitment to each other and to this religious community. It recognizes that sometimes we need to move beyond our own personal opinions and needs and find paths that help us remain in relationship with not only our sometimes clumsy and often imperfect congregations and our often mysterious relationships. Together we create a sacred bond, our covenant, to guide us as we live, work, and worship together. And a covenant is not set in stone. A covenant can and will change as people and congregations change. And yes, sometimes that covenant will be broken, as our most well-meaning promises are often broken. But covenant means that we will do our very best to repair that break, renew our promises to each other, and covenant is how we articulate our best intention to be together in respect for our differing gifts and our wonderful diversity, and that we are held together in love.
Thank you, Reverend Carroll. I'm wondering what this means to us here at KUUF. Reverend Victoria, would you share more about covenants here in our congregation?
Well, those of you who've been part of this community for a long time know that there are a number of ways that we covenant with each other. Those of you who are new and are hearing this for the first or second time, please don't feel pressure to remember all of these ways. I just invite you to listen with curiosity and openness and just notice what questions come up for you. So first of all, KUUF has a covenant of right relations, which people here created together. It doesn't come from our association of member congregations. This came from you. And I'll read it as it's relatively short. As a diverse faith community, we recognize both the importance and the challenges of staying in right relationship with one another, believing that we need not think alike to love alike. We strive to speak with honesty, care, and respect, listen with open minds, share our concerns and express our feelings in a kind manner directly to the person involved, focus on issues and behaviors rather than people or personalities, and practice forgiveness of one another. So that is the covenant that members and friends here seek to live by. Your board of trustees also has a covenant about how to work together to govern the congregation. And the congregation itself is in covenant as a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association, which is a voluntary membership that connects us to all the other Unitarian Universalist congregations in the United States, to resources and relationships within that network. And finally, there's one more. As a congregation with a UU minister, you might like to know that ministers who are ordained by a congregation and fellowshipped within the UU association are also in covenant with each other as part of a third body, which is the UU Ministerial Association, not the UUA, the UUMA. So Reverend Carol and I are both members of the UUMA, which means that we agree to standards of relationship with each other as colleagues and to the congregations and community settings where we serve. Our agreement includes an extensive set of ethical guidelines and a code of professional conduct, which is very long, so I will not read that here. And ultimately, as UUs, we also have a covenant with that ineffable spirit of life, which animates our bodies and gives us heartbeats and breath and connects us to all life in an interdependent web.
Thank you for reminding us of our covenants we have with each other as Unitarian Universalists on different levels. So, can you both tell us more about how ministers are in covenant with us and what you do? The relationship with ministers is kind of a mystery to us.
I'll start with a prequel. For 10 years, I worked in a nonpartisan office for the Washington State Legislature. And during the legislative session, I read dozens, if not hundreds, of well-meaning bills that sought to make this state a more just, a more equitable place for all. And during that time, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words kept coming to me. It may be true that the law cannot change the heart, but it can restrain the heartless. And I knew that I wanted to change hearts and not just laws, and believed, and I still believe, that working to make real the values of justice and equity common to all faith traditions is the way hearts will be changed. I then entered seminary at Seattle University School of Theology and Ministry to respond to that call to ministry with the intention of becoming a Unitarian Universalist community minister. Now, community ministers take the same courses and meet the same requirements for ministry as do parish ministers. But our work is primarily outside the walls of the church. They include ministers in chaplaincy, nonprofit organizations, and academia. All community ministers are required to be affiliated with the congregation to ensure that our ties to our congregations and to our denomination are maintained. I'm the affiliated community minister for the Olympia UU congregation, and for 8 years while I was there, I served as director of Washington State UU Voices for Justice, our statewide legislative advocacy organization. I worked with our interfaith partners and UUs around the state to advocate for just state economic, social, and environmental policies that we hoped would restrain the heartless and also change hearts. I also have had the privilege through the years of being a guest preacher in every congregation in this state, including here at KUUF. And I especially value my long-time opportunities to serve and support this wonderful fellowship. As a community minister and guest in this fellowship, it is especially important that my relationship with your parish minister and my role in this congregation is clear. I see my role here as one of support to Reverend Victoria's ministry and the ministry and the mission of this congregation. Reverend Victoria and I have a covenant that emphasizes our relationship. My primary role is preaching each month, collaborating with your worship team around the monthly worship themes. If requested, for example, by KUUF members to officiate at rituals or other pastoral services, I will always refer them to the parish minister as they fall into her area of ministry. Reverend Victoria and I, in our ministerial covenant, state our intention to support and affirm each other's specific ministries with KUUF, and we do so with regular communication and collaboration on services.
Like this one.
Yes, like this one.
So as Reverend Carroll mentioned, there are different kinds of ministers, and I am a parish minister as well as an entrepreneurial minister. And I felt my first sense of calling when I was very young. I was 12 years old, and I had a powerful experience one morning at dawn. I was in the San Juan Islands on a small bay, and I just had this feeling deep in my bones that everything is interconnected. And it came with it a responsibility to be a good steward of this web of life. And so I dedicated my youth and my young adult life to this mission. I studied environmental science and went into environmental education and eventually nonprofit administration. And then my call to UU ministry actually came from my home congregation, who invited me to consider becoming a UU minister, something I hadn't considered before. And it was an invitation that I accepted with some fear and trembling, because a calling is something of wonder and of awe and of mystery, and we don't know where it's going to go. So that call has led me into parish ministry to accompany you in doing something that is very important to me. You see, I grew up moving around all over. I was in a military family, like many folks here in Bremerton. And so I dreamed of having a community that I belonged to. And so when I found Unitarian Universalism, when I found my first congregation, that's what I found. And that's what I want to create here with you. And the way that I think of it, the image that I have for that is that together we weave the space-time fabric of our lives together here. So as your quarter-time parish minister, my primary responsibilities are for worship, pastoral care, and shared ministry. And if I had more hours, I would come alongside you in more ways, from membership to faith formation and staff supervision. And a lot of what I actually do is listening and teaching and consulting with those who have wisdom and experience to offer our congregation. And I connect people and committees with one another. And finally, I do that thing that is sort of ineffable and hard to describe. It's something that I feel, but I call it tending the quality of the spark of the congregation. That thing that keeps our spirits lit. So because Reverend Carroll and I come together in the same congregation in very part-time roles, it's been important for us to define the roles, both for the two of us and for all of you today, to be able to understand. And so we'd like to share a little bit more about that.
Can you tell us more about the covenant you have between yourselves and the covenant that you, Reverend Carroll, have with KUUF?
As I mentioned earlier, my covenant with this fellowship and with Reverend Victoria indicates that my role is to preach once a month during Reverend Victoria's time with you, and I will continue to do that, and that also, if requested by any of you to perform a ritual or other pastoral care function, then I will then refer that to Reverend Victoria, because that falls into her area of parish ministry. And I would also add that we agree to collaborate together and to talk regularly when needed.
Thank you, Reverend Carroll. I'm grateful to you for developing this covenant together and the covenant with KUUF. I'm glad that we can work together to guide and support this congregation as we continue to learn from you all how we can minister well to you here in this time. May we all together be curious explorers of the mysteries of a relationship in covenant with one another. May we move forward on the way to the world of which we dream, one right action after the next. And may we covenant to share the light that we've been given, as we also dwell together in the gentle rest and unknown possibility of darkness, knowing that someday we will sense that kind of arrival, that together we are at home. May it be so. Please rise in body or spirit to sing our closing hymn, number 126, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing.
Come, thou fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call forth songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful. May we still thy goodness prove. Come, thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear the cries of orphans silent, feel our love glow like the sun. When we all serve one another, then our heaven is begun. Come, thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us find ourselves in union, help our hands held up our love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above.
After the service is over today, please exit through the foyer where we will be serving coffee and tea. You're welcome to bring your treats back into the sanctuary if you wish. Our closing words this morning are Embrace the Night by Jen Grayson. Universal mystery, guide us away from the desire to shine light in all corners. Teach us to embrace the night, for without the darkness, we never see the stars.